Oh, this record is absolutely a concept album. Hopeless Fountain Kingdom is probably even more complex than Badlands. I learned a lot about what it means to make a concept album my first time around, because I was 19 and I didn't even know how to make a regular album, let alone a concept album. So for this one, we've kind of put a lot of work into setting up the experience. So mailing kids stuff in the mail, like secret messages to their house, doing scavenger hunts. We have character profiles for all the characters in the storyline, so you can watch them interact and watch them engage as if you're watching the two protagonists actually participate in the story that's unraveling. Badlands was about this girl living in this post-apocalyptic society and not wanting to escape but knowing she should, which was kind of a metaphor for a mental space. It was, some people find themselves, myself included, comfortable in their depression. You know what it means to get better and what you have to do, but sometimes it's easier to just kind of like wallow in your misery. For me, Hopeless Fountain Kingdom is a story of two people who want to be in love so badly they're willing to change themselves for their love, and in doing so they let the real versions of themselves die. It's a Romeo and Juliet story, and we have a lot of really incredible videos coming. It's gonna be awesome. I've definitely lived a lot of life since my first record. The difference between being a teenager and now being an adult, and I have a home, and I've traveled the world, and I've had experiences, have given me, I think, a fresh perspective in making this record. But the big thing, I think, that led me to making what turned out to be a Romeo and Juliet story was I was in a relationship with someone for a really long time, and I broke up with them, and then I sat down to write this album and realized I didn't know anything about myself. And that's hard when you want to write music that's authentic and that's honest and organic, and I realized that I didn't know how to write about me, I only knew how to write about him, and that was bad. So it was almost like that girl, that strong girl who fought her way out of the Badlands, she was gone, and I had to go back and save her, and I'm lucky that I did. I found her and I brought her back, and I sat down and the record just kind of started spilling out of me, like it was nothing, like it was easy, but I had to go find her first and think to myself, when I'm alone and I'm not in a relationship, who am I? Who am I without the gaze of another person? When I'm getting dressed in the morning and they're not sitting at the foot of my bed, what clothes do I pick out? When I'm laying on my couch and I want to order in some food, what restaurant do I choose? What playlist do I put on in the car? Who am I when they're not watching me, when they're not judging me? And that's a lot of what this record is about. So Now or Never is a more optimistic part of the album. It's about two people who are in a relationship, and one of them is begging the other person, okay, you need to love me now or never, because I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting for you to figure it out and waiting for you to, get it together. I just want, I want this now. I want this to work out, and I need to know if it's not going to, because I need to go look into my other options. And it's kind of it's a pleading song, but it's kind of careless at the same time. It's saying, I want you and I want this to work, but it won't be the end of the world if it doesn't, kind of thing. It's a really fun song. So Benny Blanco and I did Now or Never together, and he is one of my favorite people in the whole world. He's incredible. He's a genius, and he's responsible for a lot of everyone's favorite pop songs, whether they know it or not. It's the cool thing about being a producer is like you kind of get to be on the front lines, but then you kind of get your privacy at the same time, which is kind of nice. When he and I were working together, he had a lot of faith in me, and he knew that he could pull a really, really incredible song out of me. And he was so respectful of me. He knows that I'm kind of a control freak and let me do a lot of it myself and, write the words and find out what the message was, what the sentiment was, and make it authentic and make it real. And we became really, really good friends in the process of working on some songs for this album. And he started becoming kind of like my therapist in a weird way, where I'd come in and I'd be singing a song and, we'd finish the track and then be ready to go, and he'd be like, hey, I heard that thing you sang. Are you okay? And it was kind of like he was hearing like a cry for help, like in what I was singing, which was really cool because it made us bond really, really quickly and form a really strong bond. I worked with a couple other producers on this album. I worked with Greg Kurstin, who has worked with Adele and Sia and Rihanna. He's an incredible, incredible musician. He's more than just a producer, he's a musician. He plays piano, guitar, so many instruments, and those songs on the record are really musical. You'll really hear a lot of a lot of emotion in those records because it was just me and a guy sitting down, no computer, just a voice and an instrument, writing songs the old-fashioned way, which is really cool. I worked with Ricky Reed, Wallpaper, who's responsible for like 21 Pilots, and it was cool because he's got a finger on the pop pulse right now. But he used to be an alternative guy, so I kind of went in and kind of dragged that alternative mentality out of him a little bit again. But yeah, it was a couple different people, and they all bring their own unique personality to the record to make the story complete. Hopeless Fountain Kingdom is a different album. It's definitely a different album, but I'm so proud of it, and I think that one song on Hopeless Fountain Kingdom is better than the entirety of Badlands. I love every single song the same. I'm so proud of them. They show a tremendous amount of growth from me. I think they're very mature. They kind of have the same self-awareness that some of my songs on Badlands did, where I'm not afraid to say like, hey, I'm the shitty one here, not you. There's a lot of different influences on this record than there were on Badlands, like more urban elements, more R&B elements, some that are kind of stripped down, and some that are a little more vulnerable. But all in all, it's a really complex record, and it tells a really great story. And on their own, you'll love one of the songs if you hear it. But when you hear it all as a body of work, they play off of each other so well, and I'm really proud of it. One of the things I think I'm really excited for my fans to know about this album is how like outrageously much of a control freak I really am, because I wrote every single song on this album myself, and I executive produced the album myself, and I'm co-directing all the videos, and writing all the treatments and the stories, and developing all these fun interactive experiences that they get to be a part of. I'm doing it all myself. I haven't slept in 6 months, but it's totally worth it because everything is gonna hopefully make them so happy. I hope that they're proud of me when they hear it, and they know that it came from my heart and that it was all real and me.